Sometimes in life, we wonder why doors are closed, why progress feels slow, why nobody sees our efforts, and why our duas seem to echo back in silence. We begin to question ourselves, our worth, and even our direction. But pause for a moment and reflect. What if that silence is not abandonment? What if it is protection? What if at this very moment, Allah is working on you in ways you cannot yet see? You see, not every phase of your life is meant to be loud. Not every blessing arrives with applause. Some of the most powerful transformations happen quietly, away from the eyes of people, deep within your heart. When Allah intends goodness for you, He prepares you first. He strengthens your patience before granting you ease. He builds your character before elevating your status. And He teaches you reliance upon Him before giving you what you think you want. So do not rush this phase. Do not compare your journey to others. Do not underestimate moments where nothing seems to be happening. Because while the world may be silent toward you, Allah is not. He is aligning events, healing wounds, removing what would harm you, and shaping you for what lies ahead. This silence is not a delayed, it's divine preparation. And those who recognize it are the ones who emerge stronger, wiser, and closer to Him. There are moments in life when everything feels still. You are making effort. You are praying. You are trying to do the right thing. Yet nothing seems to change on the surface. No announcements, no breakthroughs, no visible progress. And this is often the phase that tests a person the most, because human beings are naturally impatient. We want results now. We want answers immediately. We want reassurance in a form we can see and touch. But Allah, in His infinite wisdom, often chooses silence as a means of preparation, not punishment. When Allah keeps you in a waiting period, it does not mean He has forgotten you. In fact, it often means the opposite. Think about it carefully. When something is extremely valuable, it is prepared with care. It is not rushed. It is protected from harm. It is worked on quietly until it is ready. A seed buried under the soil looks lifeless. From the outside, nothing seems to be happening. But beneath the surface, roots are forming, strength is developing, and life is taking shape. If you dig it up too early, you destroy it. This is exactly how many phases of our lives work. Allah knows what you are asking for. He knows what you are hoping for. But He also knows who you need to become in order to carry that blessing without it destroying you. Sometimes we ask for success, but we are not yet patient enough. We ask for leadership, but we are not yet humble enough. We ask for relief, but we have not yet learned reliance on Allah alone. So Allah keeps us in silence, not to break us, but to build us. This quiet phase strips away distractions. When things are loud and busy, we often rely on people, on status, on routines. But when life slows down, when doors close, when support seems distant, the heart naturally turns back to Allah. That is where real growth happens. That is where sincerity is born. That is where you learn to make dua, not because something went wrong today, but because you truly need Him for every breath. This kind of connection cannot be taught through ease alone. Silence also teaches patience, and patience is not passive. Patience is strength under control. It is choosing trust over panic. It is continuing to do good even when there is no immediate reward. Allah loves this quality so much that He pairs it with success again and again. But patience is not learned in comfort. It is learned when answers are delayed, when plans fall apart, when you must wait without knowing how long. In those moments, every time you hold yourself back from despair, every time you choose hope over complaint, you are being elevated without realizing it. Another powerful aspect of this silent preparation is protection. Sometimes Allah delays a blessing because if it came early, it would harm you. You might meet the wrong people, make the wrong decisions, or become attached to something that pulls you away from Him. So Allah removes certain paths, even if they look good to you. At the time, it feels like loss. Later, you realize it was mercy. Many people only understand this when they look back and say, if that had happened when I wanted it, I would not be who I am today. During this phase, Allah is also refining your intentions. When recognition is absent, when applause is missing, You are forced to ask yourself why you are doing what you are doing. Is it for people or is it for Allah? Silence has a way of exposing the heart. It removes false motivations and leaves only what is genuine. And when Allah sees sincerity, He prepares something far greater than what you initially imagined. It is important to understand that preparation often feels uncomfortable. Growth stretches you. Silence forces reflection. Waiting challenges your trust. But discomfort does not mean you are on the wrong path. Sometimes it is a sign that you are exactly where you need to be. Allah does not waste moments. Every delay has wisdom. Every unanswered question has a purpose. Every tear you shed in private is seen and recorded. So if you are in a phase where nothing seems to be moving, do not rush Allah's plan. Do not measure your worth by visible outcomes. Do not let shaitan convince you that silence means failure. Instead, use this time to strengthen your relationship with Allah, to work on your character, to heal, to learn, and to grow. Because when Allah decides that the preparation is complete, the change can be sudden, powerful, and beyond anything you expected. Remember, the loudest victories often begin in the quietest moments, and those who remain patient in silence are the ones who are truly ready when Allah opens the door. There are seasons in life when hardship and obscurity seem to surround a person from every direction. You feel unseen, overlooked, and perhaps even forgotten. You are trying your best, yet your efforts do not appear to bear fruit. Others move ahead while you remain where you are. In these moments, it is easy to assume that nothing is happening, that Allah has placed your life on pause. But in reality, this is often when Allah is doing His deepest and most meaningful work that the eyes cannot see, but the heart will one day recognize. Allah's work is not limited to what is visible. Human beings are trained to judge progress by results we can measure: income, status, recognition, comfort, and achievements. But Allah measures progress differently. He looks at the heart. He looks at sincerity, resilience, humility, gratitude, and trust. When hardship enters your life, Allah may be cleansing you from arrogance, softening your heart after pride, or strengthening your reliance on Him after self-dependence. These changes are subtle, but they are powerful. They shape the kind of person you become long before they shape the kind of life you live. Obscurity is especially painful in a world that celebrates visibility. We live in a time where being noticed feels like success and being unseen feels like failure. Yet Allah often chooses obscurity as a place of protection and growth. When you are hidden from people, you are sometimes being guarded from envy, from pressure, from expectations you are not yet ready to carry. Allah knows that if you were placed in the spotlight too soon, it might harm your faith, your character, or your peace. So He keeps you in the background, not to diminish you, but to preserve you. Hardship also has a way of exposing what truly matters. When things are easy, faith can become routine. Worship can become habitual rather than heartfelt. But when hardship strikes, the heart wakes up. Dua becomes more sincere. Tears flow more freely. The connection with Allah deepens. You stop calling upon Him only when it fits in your schedule and start calling upon Him because you truly need Him. This level of closeness cannot be manufactured. It is born through difficulty, through nights of uncertainty, through moments where Allah is the only one you can turn to. Allah's unseen work is also about teaching lessons that ease alone cannot teach. Through hardship, you learn patience, not the kind that simply waits, but the kind that trusts. You learn gratitude not only for blessings, but for lessons. You learn empathy because pain softens the heart and makes you more aware of the struggles of others. These qualities are not developed in comfort. They are refined in difficulty, quietly, gradually, until one day you realize you are no longer the same person you once were. There is also divine alignment happening during these periods. While you feel stuck, Allah is moving pieces into place. He is removing people who would have distracted you. He is delaying opportunities that would have led you away from Him. He is preparing circumstances that will only make sense later. At the time, the delay feels confusing. But when the moment arrives, You look back and realize that everything had to unfold exactly as it did. Nothing was random. Nothing was wasted. Sometimes Allah uses hardship to redirect a person without force. If a door had remained open, you might have walked into something that looked good but was not meant for you. So Allah gently closes it. You feel disappointed, even hurt. But later you discover that what you were saved from would have cost you your peace, your faith, or your future. This is Allah's mercy operating quietly, often misunderstood until hindsight reveals the wisdom behind it. Obscurity also builds sincerity. When no one is watching, your actions are purified. You do good because Allah sees you, not because people praise you. You remain consistent even when there is no reward in sight. This is a level of faith that Allah loves. And when He decides to lift you from obscurity, He does so with blessings that are rooted in sincerity, not ego. That is why some people rise suddenly after long periods of invisibility. The foundation was being built when no one was looking. It is important to remember that Allah's silence does not mean absence. He hears every dua, even the ones whispered in exhaustion. He sees every effort, even the ones that feel insignificant. He counts every moment you chose hope over despair, every time you resisted giving up. And when Allah responds, His response is not always immediate, but it is always precise. It comes at the right time, in the right way, with the right outcome. So if you are in a phase of hardship or obscurity, do not assume you are being left behind. You may be being prepared for something far greater than you can imagine. Trust that Allah is working even when you cannot see the results. Hold on to your faith, guard your heart, and continue moving forward with sincerity. Because when Allah's unseen work is complete, what emerges is not just a change in circumstances, but a stronger, wiser, and more grounded version of you, one that is ready to receive what Allah has been preparing all along. There is a deep wisdom in divine preparation that many people only recognize after they have already passed through it. Before elevation comes grounding. Before growth comes pressure. Before strength comes moments that feel like weakness. Allah does not place a burden, a responsibility, or a blessing upon a person without first preparing them to carry it. And that preparation often looks nothing like what we expect. It is rarely comfortable, rarely celebrated, and almost never rushed. When a person is meant for something greater, Allah begins by working on their character. Skills can be learned, and opportunities can be given, but character must be built. And character is not built in ease. It is shaped through restraint when anger rises, through honesty when shortcuts appear, through humility when ego wants recognition. These inner battles are part of preparation. You may think nothing is happening, but every time you choose what is right over what is easy, you are being strengthened for what lies ahead. Elevation without preparation can destroy a person. We have seen it happen, people who gain success too quickly, wealth too suddenly, or influence without grounding. What follows is often arrogance, loss of faith, broken relationships, or deep unhappiness. Allah, in His mercy, protects His servants from this by delaying elevation until the heart is ready. That delay is not denial, it is care. It is Allah ensuring that when He gives, the gift becomes a source of goodness, not a test that leads to downfall. Preparation also involves breaking attachments. Sometimes Allah removes comfort, routine, or even certain people from your life. At first, this feels painful and confusing. But many of these attachments, if left unchecked, would have held you back. They would have defined your identity, limited your growth, or distracted your heart from Allah. So Allah loosens your grip on them gently, or sometimes firmly, teaching you that your stability should not be tied to anything temporary. This kind of detachment creates freedom to grow, to trust, and to move forward without fear of losing what was never meant to be permanent. Another part of preparation is teaching discipline. Discipline in worship, in time, in choices, and in behavior. When life slows down and you are no longer chasing outcomes, you are forced to face yourself. You notice your habits, your excuses, your inconsistencies. This awareness is a gift, even if it feels uncomfortable. Allah is giving you the chance to correct what needs correction before you step into a new phase. Because once you are elevated, distractions increase, responsibilities multiply, and time becomes more limited. What you build now quietly becomes what sustains you later publicly. Allah also prepares you by testing your intentions. When your efforts go unnoticed, when your sacrifices are unseen, you learn who you are really doing it for. If you continue despite the silence, it shows sincerity. And sincerity attracts divine help in ways that nothing else can. A small action done purely for Allah carries more weight than a large action done for recognition. This is why Allah sometimes removes the audience from your life. He wants your heart fully connected to Him before He connects you to the world. There is also emotional preparation taking place. Through disappointment, you learn emotional balance. Through loss, you learn resilience. Through answered questions, you learn acceptance. These emotional strengths are essential for higher stages of life. Without them, even blessings can feel overwhelming. Allah does not want you to merely receive goodness, He wants you to sustain it. And sustainability requires inner strength that is only developed through trials. Many people make the mistake of trying to escape this phase. They rush decisions, force outcomes, or compare themselves constantly to others. In doing so, they miss the lessons meant for them. Divine preparation cannot be skipped. If it is avoided, it often returns later in a more difficult form. That is why patience here is not just virtuous, it is necessary. Sitting with the process, trusting Allah, and continuing to grow internally is part of honoring the journey. During this time, Allah may also be sharpening your awareness. You begin to notice patterns, recognize your weaknesses, and understand what truly brings peace to your heart. You become more intentional with your choices. This clarity is not accidental. It is preparation for responsibility. Because with elevation comes influence. And with influence comes accountability. Allah prepares you so that when people look to you, your actions reflect wisdom rather than impulse. It is important to remember that preparation does not mean perfection. Allah does not wait for you to become flawless. He prepares you to be grounded, humble, and aware of your dependence on Him. The more you recognize your limitations, the more you rely on Allah. And that reliance is the greatest strength a believer can have. So if you feel like life is slowing you down, reshaping you, or even breaking parts of you, understand that Allah rebuilds before He raises. Do not resent this phase. Do not rush it. Do not lose hope in it. Because when Allah decides that the preparation is complete, He opens doors that no one can close. And He places you in positions you never could have reached on your own. And when that moment comes, you will realize that every silent struggle was shaping you into someone capable of carrying the blessing with gratitude, humility, and unwavering faith. One of the greatest challenges for the human heart is learning to surrender to timing that it cannot control. We are created with urgency. We want answers now, solutions now, relief now. When something matters deeply to us, waiting feels heavy and uncertainty feels unbearable. Yet trusting divine timing is one of the most powerful acts of faith, because it requires you to believe that Allah sees what you cannot, knows what you do not, and plans with a wisdom far beyond your own understanding. Human urgency is rooted in limited vision. We see today, maybe tomorrow. We feel the pain of the moment and assume it will define the future. Allah, however, sees the entire journey at once. He knows where a path will lead before you even take the first step. So when He delays something you are desperate for, it is not because He is unaware of your need, nor because He is ignoring your prayers. It is because He knows the exact moment when that thing will become a blessing instead of a burden. Many times we ask Allah for something with sincerity, but we also attach our own timeline to it. We assume that if it does not happen quickly, it must not be meant for us. This assumption often leads to frustration, self-doubt, and even distance from Allah. But divine timing is not measured by how fast something arrives. It is measured by how perfectly it fits when it does. What arrives too early can overwhelm you. What arrives too late may miss its purpose. Allah's timing is always precise, even when it feels slow. Trusting Allah's timing means accepting that delay is not rejection. It is easy to believe Allah loves us when life is moving forward, when doors are opening, and when prayers are being answered in ways we can recognize. But real trust is built when nothing seems to be changing, and you still choose to believe that Allah is taking care of you. This kind of trust transforms the heart. It replaces anxiety with calm, desperation with patience, and fear with hope. When you surrender your urgency, you allow Allah to work freely in your life. Urgency often pushes people into choices they are not ready for. It leads to forced decisions, unhealthy attachments, and compromises that are later regretted. Allah, in His mercy, slows things down to protect you from yourself. He teaches you to pause, to reflect, and to rely on Him rather than your impulses. This slowing down is not a setback, it is guidance. Trusting divine timing also reshapes how you view success. Success is no longer about speed or comparison. It becomes about alignment. You stop measuring your life against others and start focusing on your own growth and faith. You realize that someone else's progress does not delay yours, and someone else's blessing does not reduce what Allah has written for you. This realization brings peace, because competition is replaced with contentment. Another aspect of trusting Allah's timing is understanding that preparation and timing go hand in hand. Allah may delay a blessing because there are still lessons to be learned, wounds to be healed, or habits to be corrected. If the blessing came before these changes, it might not last. So Allah waits not because He is withholding, but because He is preserving. What He gives at the right time often comes with stability, not chaos. Trust also grows when you reflect on your past. Think of moments when you were grateful. Something did not happen when you wanted it to. Think of paths you thought were perfect, only to later realize they would have harmed you. These memories are reminders that Allah's timing has always been kinder to you than your own desires. Every delay you survived strengthened your ability to wait again. Surrendering urgency does not mean becoming passive or giving up effort. You still work, you still pray, you still strive. But you release the need to control outcomes. You do your part and leave the results to Allah. This balance between effort and trust is where faith matures. You learn that your responsibility is obedience and sincerity, not guaranteeing results. When a person truly trusts divine timing, their heart becomes lighter. They stop living in constant anticipation and start living in gratitude for the present moment. Even in uncertainty, there is peace, because the heart knows it is in safe hands. Allah is never late, He is never early. He is always on time. So when you feel the urge to rush, when you feel frustrated by waiting, remind yourself that Allah's plan unfolds with perfect wisdom. What is meant for you will reach you, no matter how long it takes. And when it does, you will understand why it could not have arrived any sooner. One of the most overlooked yet transformative realities in a believer's journey is the ability to recognize Allah's mercy in moments that appear quiet, empty, or unremarkable. We are conditioned to associate mercy with ease, comfort, and visible blessings. We expect goodness to arrive with clear signs, happiness, success, relief. But often Allah's mercy comes disguised as stillness, as restraint, as unanswered questions. It takes a heart connected to Him to recognize that what feels ordinary or even painful may actually be a profound act of care. Quiet moments slow us down, and in that slowing down, Allah gives us space to reflect. When life is constantly busy, we move without thinking. We make decisions quickly, speak without reflection, and chase outcomes without considering consequences. Silence interrupts this pattern. It forces the heart to pause. And in that pause, awareness grows. You begin to notice your thoughts, your intentions, your relationship with Allah. This awareness is a mercy because it allows correction before damage and clarity before regret. Allah's mercy in quiet moments is also found in protection. Many times, we are saved without realizing it. A missed opportunity, a relationship that fades, a plan that falls apart, these events can feel like loss. But later, with distance and maturity, we recognize that they shielded us from harm we could not see at the time. The quiet removal of something from your life is often Allah saying, this is not good for you, without exposing you to the pain of finding out the hard way. In stillness, Allah often heals what noise cannot. Emotional wounds, unresolved grief, and internal struggles rarely heal in chaos. They need space, time, and gentleness. Quiet phases allow you to process pain instead of running from it. They allow you to confront what you have buried, to make peace with what you cannot change, and to grow stronger through acceptance. Healing is one of the greatest forms of mercy, and it usually happens away from the spotlight. Another subtle mercy of quiet moments is the deepening of sincerity. When life is calm and unnoticed, your actions are stripped of performance. You pray because you need Allah, not because you are seen. You do good because it is right, not because it is praised. This purifies the heart. Allah values this sincerity immensely, and He nurtures it in silence. Many people lose their sincerity when life becomes loud. Allah preserves yours by teaching you to live without needing validation, quiet. Moments also invite gratitude in a deeper form. When there is no dramatic joy or sorrow, you begin to appreciate simple blessings, breath, health, shelter, the ability to reflect, the ability to turn back to Allah. This kind of gratitude is not reactive, it is rooted. It changes how you see life. You stop waiting for extraordinary events to be thankful and start recognizing Allah's presence in the ordinary. This awareness brings contentment. And contentment is one of the greatest gifts Allah gives His servants. Mercy is also present in the way quiet moments refine your reliance on Allah. When external support fades and distractions fall away, you are left with Him. This can feel uncomfortable at first, but it is actually a blessing. You learn that Allah is sufficient. You learn that peace does not come from circumstances aligning, but from trust settling in the heart. This reliance strengthens faith in a way that constant ease never could. In quiet seasons, Allah also realigns your priorities. What once felt urgent loses its grip. What truly matters becomes clearer. You begin to distinguish between what you want and what you need. This clarity protects you from chasing illusions and helps you focus on what nourishes your soul. This is mercy because it saves you from a life spent pursuing emptiness. Many people fear quiet moments because they feel unproductive or meaningless. But in reality, they are often the most productive phases of the soul. Growth is happening, even if it is invisible. Seeds are being planted. Roots are being strengthened. Allah is nurturing you gently, patiently, and with care. Loud success without roots can collapse easily. Quiet growth endures. Recognizing mercy in silence requires trust. It requires believing that Allah is kind even when life feels neutral or uncertain. It requires seeing beyond immediate feelings and understanding that Allah's care is constant, even when it is subtle. When you develop this perspective, your relationship with Allah deepens. You stop fearing silence and start embracing it as a space where Allah is close. So when life becomes quiet, do not rush to fill the silence or assume something is wrong. Sit with it, reflect, grow, thank Allah. Because in that stillness, He may be protecting you, healing you, purifying you, and guiding you all out of mercy you may only fully understand later.